Alrighty. So in this one, in this experiment, we're going to assess the effect of changing enzyme concentration. Again, I do remind you that we don't actually know the amount of catalase in each per volume, so the unit of activity per volume. So this could, we could have a source of error in that, and specifically in this reaction. So, but we'll see what happens here. So what we're going to do here is, again, we've got a little bit taller test tubes because, as you saw last time, in the last video, when we reacted catalase with hydrogen peroxide, it really bubbled up very quickly and almost to the very top of the smaller test tube. So we've got a larger volume here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to have a 1-time amount, 2 times, and 3 times. So, and we're just going to do this by very crude volume changes. So here in test tube 1A, I'm going to add a transfer pipette of catalase. Get that very close to the bottom, and then I'm going to add 2, right? Because I've got to keep equal volume, 2 of water. Hopefully, you can see the logic that we have here. In test tube 2A, we're going to put 2 pipettes of catalase. Get all the way down there, and then 1 of water. So again, in 1A and 2A, the total volume is 3 pipettes. All right? And then in 3A, we're just going to put the catalase. And let me just kind of shake it up a little bit again. Make sure it's nice and mixed up. Because got enough room for error here. We don't want 2 going down. And 3. Okay. Make sure all that came out. And you want to kind of check to make sure that they all look pretty level. And yeah, that last one, the 3A, needs just a little bit more. I must not have gotten all of it out, so just want to make sure that there's no error just due to volume differences. Okay. All right, so all the test tubes look to have the same volume. So in the B, we're going to be putting 1 and only 1 transfer pipette of hydrogen peroxide, and that's not going to vary at all. Okay, so we'll put 1 in here. And honestly, what we're going to do here, since we're doing it this way, we're going to skip this, and I'm going to put the 1 directly in. Because again, we've already made the variation here, and we're going to do each one at a time. Where in lab, we always have the students kind of do it simultaneously. So we're just going to take and add the 1 transfer pipette to each one by one and measure, okay? So we'll do 1A here, and again, what we're doing is we're adding 1 transfer pipette. The other thing that this will accomplish is I won't have any transfer error. I won't leave any hydrogen peroxide behind. I'm just putting it directly in and getting out of the way. All right. So, whoops, start. There's a little timing, but since I didn't put my pipette back in. Hydrogen peroxide looks surprisingly like water. All right, so. All righty, so when I measure the bubble column here, after 20 seconds, it appears to be at about 8.1, right? 8.1 centimeters, or 81 millimeters. All right, so we'll do the next one. 2A, which we now have twice as much catalase, allegedly, right? And this time I'm going to try to, no, I need that. I'm going to try to hit that at the right. Okay, ready? Oh, wow. Can't always get what you want.
I didn't shake it up enough.
Is that what it was? Dang it. All right, so everybody's a critic. All right, so in test tube 2A, which had twice as much, we only got about 7.8. The bubble. My students always tell me that too. Am I in the way here? So about 7.8. Yeah, I always get a lot of, what? The quality here. All right, let's try this last one then. So really negligible difference between the two. So let's see what happens. Did I add water instead? Let me add hydrogen peroxide to the last one. And let's see what happens there. Whoa. Sorry, I had a little still left residue. All right. Okay, so in test tube 3A here, which had the most, we did get up to about, let me just be fair here, about 9.5, 0.4 or 5. Okay, so we did see the most reaction, or the greatest amount of product produced in the form of these oxygen bubbles through the solutions in the test tube with the greatest volume of catalase. Why 2A didn't show a lot of an increase, and why 3A wasn't 3 times the amount of 1A. It has to do with a lot of other variables. So again, remember, these experiments are just very, very simplistic. We'd have to, if we really wanted to judge the effect of enzyme concentration, we'd have to quantify how much catalase is actually in this homogenate and make that constant across here, right? And then we'd have to consider, what our expectations, how much. The other thing to consider too, and I mean this very, very sincerely, no joking, all joking aside, is the fact that, adding more enzyme is going to have a limiting effect in any situation because the enzyme needs the reactant to work. So we held the reactant constant. And if you consider that, well, there could have only been so many hydrogen peroxide molecules for this amount of catalase. So it didn't matter how much more we put in, there just wasn't, we were limited in the amount of hydrogen peroxide to take apart and therefore produce oxygen molecules. So I always tell students to think about that too, because oftentimes they get a variety of different results that are somewhere along the lines of what we just demonstrated here. But you do need to think about what, how this would actually work in a living system. So again, there's an effect of increasing the volume, which we assume again is concentration as well, but we don't really know that for sure, and that we got more product. But that would have we couldn't continue just to add more and more and more enzyme and constantly see more and more product if we kept the reactant the same, right? If we just kept adding the same amount of substrate or reactant hydrogen peroxide. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next video and hope this gives you something to think about.